Guess what we're talking
Hello.
about today? I
We're
get to
talking
mess
about
with you.
Google Ads. We're talking about because it's the start of the next year. We are talking about Google Ads and is it worth it? What is the state of Google Ads in 2024? Is it worth it?
Is it worth it? So I guess we have to first decide who we're talking to. Like when we talk about this, is it worth it to learn it? Is it worth it to pay for it yourself as a small business? Right. So I
Yeah.
think we're mostly focused on like, is it so if we believe in doing it, we probably believe in learning it.
Yeah. It's definitely Google Ads has not gotten any less time consuming.
Yeah.
Um,
True.
I would say that it's a very powerful platform, even though they have done a bit more of like the automations and the AI to kind of slowly take away your control over the platform. But I think that overall, like, yeah, if you have time, and also what type of business you are as well,
Mm.
if you're the type of business that you're very like you're you people know what to google to find you or related to you, then I think that it's definitely worth looking. If you're like a new business that you need to like stand out,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
then maybe looking at those ones that are like TikTok or Meta.
Maybe doing a brand campaign if you're a brand new business, right? So,
Yeah.
like, if that's what you're gonna do, because if people don't, so we've run across people um, that you know you you know when you're looking for a business and you don't know quite the answer to your problem, so you're actually just looking to solve your problem. Like, so we worked with a company a while back, and I was hunting for their services, and then see if you can guess who this is, Phelan. I was hunting for their services, and I didn't know what quite I needed to Google to find what I was looking for, right? And it
Yeah.
do you know do you know who I'm talking about?
uh is that the Excel post?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah, yeah,
it was for some work doing some app script writing. So I didn't know
yeah.
that. And so what did I type into Google? Excel help or Google Sheets help. And there was an ad, and then I clicked on it. So it did work for him, but he had worked for another company who had been doing it, and it was working. So it was kind of a known thing, right? But we had a company who she was an inventor and invented a product, and it could never get
Mhm.
really off the ground because we didn't have enough money to spend, right? So I think
Mhm.
that's the next question that comes up with is it worth it with Google Ads still? Would be like not only the type of business or where the business is in their journey, but um like do you have some dollars to throw away where you're not going to be bothered throwing away like 2 to 3 months worth of money, right?
Yeah, and especially going off of that is like make sure that you have a funnel that works, because make sure that you've got like all your conversion tracking set up. Like
Mm,
more, I would say in 2024, conversions and tracking them properly, and especially ones where you can then send the information of the person who filled out the form back to Google,
mm-hmm.
is going to become more and more important, because those little signals that you can send where it's like, hey, here's all the people that have filled out my form, and you make them into a customer match list and then send it to Google, that's going to be even more important than it was before, because this just it helps with Google's AI systems and their automations, so that they go, okay, so these are the people that actually filled out. Okay, I'll find you more people like this.
Yeah,
So super powerful. Like definitely, you want to have kind of, yeah, like Google Ads is kind of like, I've got everything set up. I'm kind of making some traction. Some people starting to be aware of me. How can I supercharge this,
mm-hmm.
or how can I kind of put a little bit more like you know um, gas in
Behind
onto the
that.
fire?
Yeah, or some companies will try to use Google Ads as a last ditch effort, so that's something to maybe steer away from, because
Yeah.
if so, we all know now that if you build it, they do not necessarily come. So sometimes people realize that, and then they have to do marketing somehow to to show up, right? To show that they have services and that their service is good and they're recommendable. basically.
Hmm.
So I think, like, I mean, I used to not do this, but I do now recommend like a little brand campaign if you can, to not only one, try to learn Google Ads a little bit, because it's always good as an owner to know the language that you're speaking. I mean, we had somebody sign up with us this week because the company they were working with they were dealing with a sales rep who was just like, the promise of the world kind of thing. It was action something. I guess I shouldn't name them. Um,
No, no.
but she was a sales rep, so she knew a lot of the lingo, but then didn't. Right. And the owner of the business then thought, okay, well, I want to work with the people actually doing the work or understanding the work or helping me understand the work. Right.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
exactly. And I think that that's also super important, is because it's like kind of knowing knowing what's behind why we're doing it, not just like the like doing the rote activity. So it's not that you're just doing and you're just saying words. It's that you know that these words mean this thing in relation to these other things. It's like, or you're not just like saying a bunch of like, oh, we're going to improve your conversion rate. Like you actually know what that mean, like what that would mean as an action to do.
Well, I think that's a really important point to point out, right? Is that we've noticed that we sell SEO, or we do SEO a little bit differently than a lot of other people, right? And I mean, everybody's got their specialty. A lot of SEO people will, focus on links, or they'll focus on page SEO, or they'll focus on um,
Content.
content, right? And keywords. We focus on conversions, like that's where it lies. So we use SEO and then conversion rate optimization, and you throw Google Ads in there, and that's a really quick way to figure out if stuff's broken, right? And if
Yeah.
so, it does give us an indicator on, hey, if you do Google Ads and your web page does not convert, we'll get people to your website and then they won't take that action. And if they don't take that action, then you have to change something on your website, and we'll put things like Microsoft Clarity on the site to show you, hey, or show us all what are people doing. Because there is, I mean, I don't know how many times I can say that there's a percentage of people that will come to your site and take an action, whether it be to sign up to your newsletter or fill out your form, or people are looking for stuff when they click on your result, right? Whether it be an ad or SEO. So yes, search is still worth it. Google Ads is still worth it. And Google Ads is super fun now too. More fun. Is it more
Yeah.
fun? Do you think it's more fun now?
Yeah, in some ways it's definitely the tools. I feel like have really matured. Like a lot of the third party
Mm,
tools and a lot of the help that's out there now is pretty helpful. I'm there's still a little bit of like the you kind of like launch your campaign and it's like you're making your offering to the gods, and like they either like take your offerings or you're left
yes.
you know
Um,
uh
Let us say,
just
I till the land of Google. I till.
yeah, exactly. And so we're just like there's a little bit of, especially with Performance Max, there's in some ways I have liked it. In other ways, it's
Mm.
been very annoying in that they just don't offer the insights. They're slowly starting to open it up, but it's just not enough to merit. And oh, also one thing that I would say that we've noticed quite a bit is attribution in 2024 is probably the worst I've seen it in a long time.
We're only 3 weeks in. We're on 2 weeks in. We're only 18 days in. So
Well, I
attribution.
was
Okay.
looking at
So explain attribution. And this is kind of the different things that we're seeing. So we use Google Ads, but oftentimes we also look inside Google Analytics. Now I'll let you go off a little bit about the what you see in Google Analytics and what attribution means today, where yet what it meant yesterday.
Yeah, so what like attribution is basically like if someone fills out the form, where do they come from? Like who gets to claim if you got a room full of like I'm SEO, I'm email, I'm direct none, meaning like they just went to the website. Which one of those people are you going to give the you got this conversion? Are you going to like attribute the conversion with? And traditionally, we had always gone with linear because it's kind of all the other models kind of seemed didn't make sense
Mhm.
because it takes a lot of steps. So
Yeah.
it was kind of weird to be like, well, this ad had nothing to do with it. It was
Yeah.
only this like SEO search that they did, and like Google organic, and that was the only thing that really counted. And that's just
Yeah,
not
you
how I
got to
really
give
think.
credit where credit's due, right? Like we all know it's not one straight path somewhere sometimes. A lot of the time.
Yeah, and it's definitely, yeah, it's definitely very weird. And so Google, in their infinite wisdom, has decided that we are only going to have data driven or last click attribution,
Mhm.
meaning that your
Yeah.
ads can get like a quarter of a conversion.
Yeah,
And
so well wait, let's dig in this. So Google changed things this last year. I think it was last year.
yeah, it
And
was last year. Yeah.
they took away, so they slowly got us all moved over into the data driven model instead of the so they started taking away our choice with attribution, right? And then they moved
Yeah.
us over to this data driven model. And so when you go into analytics now and you try to see where the conversions are coming from, are they just coming from Google Ads, or are they, what happens?
Yeah, exactly. And so the part
What
that's really getting annoying is that they say like, oh, okay, you have one conversion, and then we're going to divide it, and it's like 66% this Google organic, and then 33% an ad. And but they don't tell you how they came to that decision. They're just like, yeah,
happened?
that's how the breakdown was. It's like, it's not like, the organic, they actually spend like 5 minutes compared to the ad where they only spent like 30 seconds and saw the headline. Like, if they had a bit of an explanation, then I might give them a bit more credence.
Mm-hmm.
um but there's also stuff that we've noticed, that we had an e-commerce client where what I saw in their Shopify analytics for revenue and
Mm-hmm.
what I saw in their Google ads for, the value of the conversion, meaning like this ad, they clicked on it, they made a purchase, and that purchase was worth, I don't know, like 300 bucks, just to make it
Yeah.
nice and easy. They don't, they attribute attribution is different in both of those platforms, and it's even different on Google Analytics from the other two.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
It's
and
true.
so it's been very annoying. I also we have another client who, they were like panicking because this campaign only had like three conversions, and it was like over $100 a conversion,
A
and they
conversion
were
is a
stressed
lead.
out.
Yeah, a conversion is, depending on what you're doing, e-commerce, it's a sale, or a form
Yeah,
filled out, or a phone call, right?
yeah,
Depending.
and yeah, and in their case was like that it was a student, and they collect, like, a potential student, so they collect them by filling out a form.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what had happened is they were all panicked, and they were like really nervous about this. And then we went into the Google Analytics, and the Google Analytics showed that the Performance Max campaigns had like almost 5 times the number of conversions,
Mm.
and it just wasn't getting tracked in the Google Ads. And so there's that part's been a bit annoying, and it's something also to just keep in bear in mind, because you kind of have to look at it from like multiple sources. You can't just take like Google ads like they're perfectly tracking everything for you. Like, you need take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, well, and this is the thing, and this is why I say we do things a little differently than some other SEOs. Now, that's not saying that other SEOs don't do what we do. I'm sure there are. We just don't know many of them. Um, but Shaylin's here. She's saying hi. And the thing about the SEO we do is it's conversion based, right? So that's what
Yeah.
we're checking, and that's what we're kind of weighing things against. And yeah, and I think Google Ads really contributes to it, like contributes to
Yeah.
the path of things. And if you can't try, but let me just bring this up. It brings me to a point, because we're saying yes, it's worth it, but I think there are some important things to note with who is it worth it for, right?
Yeah.
Because is it worth it for a massage therapist who can only take 4 appointments a day and only has 5 days a week? Like, because you max out, right? So anything that costs maybe $25, if your cost per click is $10, you might not want to be doing Google Ads, just, But so there's different businesses that it really works well for, and some businesses it doesn't work well for at all, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
And that can
totally have
change.
to.
And that can change.
Yeah, and you have to, like we had talked about at the start, you have to look at how much money do you have to spend for advertising, how much time do you have to spend, as well as your unit economics. Like you said, if an appointment you can is only worth X amount of dollars, and it's going to take you all this time just to like on the ads to get them, and
Mhm.
the cost per click is like $10, and you're only going to get, you know one out of every 10 people actually converting. So you spend $100 to get one person. Well,
Yeah.
is that worth it? Like you'll have to take that for your own considerations as
Yeah.
well. That um, I know that like we have some people that there's one person we were working with. It's like $50,000 to work with her. So the unit economics works out that like we can spend a couple months like just testing things and really getting them honed, because by the time we get like one or two conversions, that
They'll be
covers us for the year. Like, and
yeah, yeah.
so
And once they convert, so we got something that could have been worth money had she taken less. So, but
yeah,
I mean, it is awkward, getting one lead a month or something. That's not where, my plan is to go with that. But
yeah,
it does take a while to figure out. So I think Google Ads, um, there's some things, it's not, you can get up on Google fast, but you
mhm,
might not get a conversion for a couple months. That's why I say you got to be willing to throw away your money. um and I think you've got to, as you said, do the unit economics. Like, so if you need 10 clicks, so the goal is 10 clicks, one conversion, right? 10 clicks, one person takes the action. um
yeah,
I think 60% of all searchers are willing to click on an ad, um and purchase something, right? Like, they are searching for an action. So if a click costs $10 and you need 10 clicks for one conversion, and it takes you 2 months to get that, right? To kind of figure out the system, how much are you spending? Ooh, that's a good math question. I hate it already.
yeah. I mean, it's definitely a little bit of busting out the spreadsheets and really kind of figuring this stuff out. Like knowing your numbers is also going to be super important.
And knowing,
Um,
if, yeah, your time versus money, right? Like, what do you got? Because
yeah,
if you're just starting out in business, true, like, maybe you have a lot more time than money, and so better to learn it, to do it yourself, and join a community that's all about helping other people learn, right?
yeah.
Did you see the eye switch? That was because we have a community, but we'll talk about that on another day. So we've decided it's worth it. What do you all think? What do you think,
Uh,
Phelan? Like, is that it? Is that all we got?
I mean, ultimately, there's only really two platforms that you can advertise with, either Google or Meta/Facebook.
That's
Those are
not true.
really
There's LinkedIn.
that.
There's
But I'm saying that a proportion of ad spend where it has made a meaningful impact, like these two they're the big, they're
they're the
was it
players. The players.
50%, 50% and 40% of all the ad spent on digital advertising. It's just like so like in the pie chart, everyone else just gets rammed into like other,
Yeah.
basically as like a little like 5%.
Mm.
It's just overwhelmingly that Google Ads is good. There's still lots of advanced targeting that you can do. There's
Oh, there's
ways that
so much. There's so
yeah,
much to do in there, right? It's a full-time job, I tell you, right?
yeah, it is. I would just also, if you're new to it, don't fall down the rabbit hole of following Google's primrose path. They will lead you to making smart campaigns that aren't
And
very
spending
good.
money and
Yeah,
spending money. That's what.
yeah,
But I would say, yeah. So get a second opinion. Join a Facebook group for free that has people in it, and don't say you're looking for Google Ads person, because you'll get jumped on. But the other thing about Google Ads, so if we switch this topic a little bit, oh, Jody's here. She agrees with everything we're saying. Yeah, you do. Thanks. Love when
yeah,
people agree with me. Um, oh, look at that. I got it right in the right spot. Um, it is important to work. We had this kind of topic with Greg last week about the DIY space, and is AI helping with that or negatively affecting it? Like, as easy as Google can be to get in there and turn things on, it's really bad if you just get in there and turn things on. And because then, yeah. So, but I mean, if I was a business owner, I probably would have done that and tried it myself.
yeah. And that's also one other thing to bear in mind, because I had this issue with a client where Google had turned on the automatic generation of assets, meaning like your titles and your description, and
Did
so
they
they decided that
automatically turn it on?
I would never have in a million years have turned that on. But they go through this little phase where they're like, oh, it's opt in and it's opt out. Oh, and then they keep switching it and you don't. And so this one,
It's
I
a
guess, had, because it was something I would never agree to, because what happened is that they decided that they were going to have their business name slash Disney and or Walt Disney. And they were like, are we advertising on this? Like, this doesn't. And then I had to be very apologetic and just say like, oh no, and then had to figure out what was going on. So just an example like that of like, don't be careful about Google giving Google complete reins, because they are not
they're
the best
cheeky.
actors sometimes.
They're cheeky. Like they are. They're not the best actors. Their reps that call you are there to hit their quota, which is to get
Yeah,
you to spend more money. Um, Jody, you're saying you're working with a nonprofit attached to it. Yes, yes, nonprofits are good. So this kind of brings us to dive into different businesses on Google, right? So nonprofits, they can get up to $10,000 for free from Google, but there are incredible rules in building campaigns and in what measurements you have to hit. So you have to set up that conversion tracking in order to spend over $2.
yeah,
So the first hurdle is to qualify and get your paperwork. The second hurdle is to make sure you follow the guidelines properly. Um, so that you can actually spend more than $2 on a click, because clicks cost a lot more now, right? Depending on your industry too. So, but
yeah,
if there's a nonprofit, that is a great way to enter into Google Ads. It's a great learning experience because you have money to play with. You can't do any display advertising, but you can. That is so much fun. I'm excited for
yeah,
you. Um, they are out to make some money. Google is, right?
yeah.
So,
We
um,
do have it as a topic about what campaign types are a good match for your business, because there's all kinds of different types these days. And so I think we'll do a deeper dive on that part, but it's definitely one to just mention of like businesses that it would be good for. I think we at the top, like local businesses that are like kind of set, like a plumber is a really good one for ads. I I've even heard people say that like the smart ads are good for them as well, because it Google knows what a plumber advertising on Google, what it is. It's a very known quantity.
mhm.
Um, moving companies, any sort of local home service, they're a really good match for this. Yeah, local service businesses like lawyers, they could be really good, right? Because you can
Lawyers, yeah,
advertise.
expensive cost per click, right?
Oh yeah.
You
Oh,
have
it's
to
insane. Like, yeah,
big
do not.
budgets.
I
Movers,
mean,
right? Movers, and the moving one is really interesting because when you hire a truck, you hopefully are doing it once every 10 years, 3 years, right? Let's say.
yeah,
So I mean, they're going to charge you upwards of 2 to 10 grand. Right. So is it worth it? It's a one time thing. I mean, I don't know if they work on customer retention. I mean, the customer retention would be worth it, but I mean, it can cost you a good $1,000 for that, right? Like yeah, for a lead. So, but if that lead turns into, I mean, not $1,000 a click, but $1,000 a lead, let's say, right? 10 clicks. 10, anyway,
yeah,
anyway,
yeah. Well, I mean, I would say that what is it? The most expensive keyword in Google is $250 a click.
what's that?
Uh, it has to do with like some lawsuit of like it's like it's the name of the disease.
Mm.
It's a really long word, but it's like $250 a click because it's part of a an open class action lawsuit. So it's like worth
Ah.
like hundreds of millions of dollars. And
Oh,
so it's worth it for the lawyers if they can get you on board. They get more money, and like it's just worth it for them. It had to do with some like oil spill or something like that. I can't remember the details, but
do you know what? So I'm just interrupting for a sec. I've been watching my camera a little bit and I think it's flipping between the two. Maybe that's what's happening. Because it seemed
uh,
anyway. We're not talking about my camera or me, so don't you worry. So the other quick thing I wanted to address before we go is um, doing Google Ads on your own as a business owner. Is it a good idea? And the answer could be you're gonna try it anyway. You know, you might try it anyway. So, and when you get stuck, get help. If you can afford it, pay somebody to set you up. and get a strategy kind of built for you, and then maybe try to take the reins with a class or something like that. If you think you want to do it yourself, or if you want to do it for a profession, it is an awesome profession
Yeah.
because you can be behind the scenes, because you feel a little flutter when you do well for your client and you can prove it. So it is actually, we call it intent based marketing, right? So, but mind you, your clients might not give you credit, or they might call you and be like, I didn't get any leads. And you're like, well, I thought what about this? And oh, yeah, they booked this, and this. And you're like, that was from the ad. Um, we'll actually track the leads on a Google Sheet. So anybody that fills out a form ends up in a Google Sheet or like an Excel sheet. You can do that, right? And that's a lot of what are they called? It's what kind of plugin, Phelan? What is Contact Form
Uh,
7 or Gravity Forms?
yeah. It's just like an extension of your contact form is to have it. You can save it to a database. We like it on a Google Sheet because it's super flexible. Anyone can access it. Um, Makes
Yeah,
it easy for you to upload those customer match lists that we talked about at the start.
yeah.
Um,
I love this DIY Google Ads. It's so funny. You're so funny. Greg,
mhm.
DIY Google Ads. It's true. It's true. And it is changing. So it is a good time if you're interested in learning Google Ads. It's a good time to start learning. The systems have
Yeah,
really changed. The strategies have completely changed. Lots of people are
yeah,
trying new things and different things. Um, and there's a huge opportunity for remarketing now, right? Um, because they made it so much easier. So,
yeah. Though they swear up and down about that cookieless future, so so I'm interested to see how that shakes out as well in 2024. They swear that they're going to be doing cookieless futures, so you don't get tagged with a cookie when you go to a website. But
yeah,
um,
it's true, eh?
uh, I d-
We'll
yeah, I'm
see.
still I just say I'm unconvinced by it. Like, there's a lot of
Uh
I'm not using my own money.
ah, yes. Not using your own money is always good when learning something. One thing that a lot of business owners don't ask that they might want to ask if they, want to work with people that know what they're doing is, how long have you been doing this, and have you worked with clients like mine before? Because specifically with Google Ads, it's a minefield out there of like, so there are people that work on hotel Google Ads. We don't do that. There are
Yeah,
people that do more ticketing on Google Ads. All those pop-ups you get when you're looking for a travel holiday thing? Those are people doing Google Ads, and they're like, yeah, we don't do those. We do e-commerce and local,
yeah,
or some people do SaaS. And yeah, so you also pick your poison inside Google Ads, right? We don't work with people, we can't work with guns, alcohol, sex, smoking. I mean, so we
cannabis.
stick to the good thing. We stick to things that don't get penalized on Google, right? So, oh, and that includes people who fix phones. They are not allowed to advertise on Google either. Oh,
Yeah,
but that is a story for another day. We are out of time, right? And Phelan, do you know what's happening next week? Don't.
it it's the marketing roundup. I thought
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
monthly.
So the fourth Thursday every month, we do marketing roundup where we talk search, social, and websites. And it'll be myself, Rena, and Greg. No, myself, Phelan, and Greg. Rena is out of the count because she is doing a course. But if you are joining us in the Facebook group or on YouTube, we're so glad you're here, and we'll see you next week. Okay, bye.